Moreland was confronted after showing up at a Bakersfield apartment complex, but is never charged. The DA's office says a new documentary about the case prompted prosecutors to take a look at the evidence. Bakersfield residents get a chance tonight to weigh in on the city's growing network of Flock license plate cameras. Police say the cameras help find stolen cars, track suspects, and solve crimes faster. Critics say the system raises some privacy concerns. They want tighter rules on how the information is collected and shared. Meeting starts at 5:30 at Salon Juarez Hall on East 18th Street. And drivers should expect delays tomorrow night on southbound Highway 99 at Ming Avenue. The far right lane will close from 9 tomorrow night until 6 Friday morning while crews remove concrete barriers. I'm Rob Archer in the current newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, however you may be streaming on YouTube. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, where we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. Chris Burdick is producing the show on this 19th day.
Office is warning about phone and text scams. Deputies say scammers are pretending to be sheriff's employees and demanding money for fake warrants, missed jury duty, or other court problems. The sheriff's office says it will never ask you for payment over the phone or by text. The far right lane of southbound Highway 99 at Ming Avenue will close tomorrow night from 9 until 6 Friday morning for construction work. I'm Rob Archer in the current newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230 KERN.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
Again, the hoodlum kids on the bicycles. You realize that's the whole idea, right? This is a plea for attention. Every time you make a video and then you put it on social media and everybody watches it, those hoodlum kids win. Because that's all they're looking for is the views. And however dangerous and stupid the thing has to be for them to get their clicks, they're going to do it.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
842-537-6842 KERN. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll delve into the Lindsay Clancy murder trial. Jury was sent home early today because of unforeseen circumstances, but her forensic psychologist testified today, and it was pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty moving testimony, in my opinion. And in fact, well, you're her therapist, and she was hearing voices, and she went to a suicide deal, and they turned her away. We'll get into that in just a second. But as those who are viewing on YouTube can clearly tell, the Van Alsteins are live in studio. This is Jennifer to my left, if you can't tell, and that is Ryan with the beard on the far left. With Adaptive Networks, what's really going on?
Oh, we're just trying to get through this heat and trying to keep our clients happy in the stretch of summer.
Yeah. And automation is our topic for the day. Expound, please.
Yeah, so what we want to talk about today a little bit is buy, build, or augment is kind of what we're looking at. So basically what we're talking about today is, imagine, and a lot of your audience can probably imagine this. You got somebody, in your office who every Friday does like a 4-hour stretch of, one thing's up on one screen, one thing's up on the other, and we're taking all the data from here and we're just moving it over here. We're just doing this repetitive, back and forth. And they're doing it this way because they've done it the same way for the last 6 years, 10 years, however long, right? And that's important to the business. It's valuable to the business. That data's got to go from point A to point B. And nobody's asked the question, why are we doing it this way? And so now we're starting to ask a little different question of, why are we doing it this way? The business owner may be like, hey, we've been, doing it this way for a long time. Is there a better way? We're constantly being, just our resources are being stretched thin. We've got more compliance than ever. We've just got more and more, demands. So we're trying, shrinking, margins to keep our businesses profitable and keep things moving forward. So the solution we find in there is technology.
Yeah. So we found we've been having really great conversations with our clients to build custom automations. And so what Ryan's talking about is these repetitive tasks that are just taking up staff time. They're, things that ideally, the client would say, I would like these two systems just to talk to each other so I don't have to have a staff person, taking up however, 2-3 hours each week, but you add that up and they could be doing things that are more productive. So they either want to buy a software that already exists that might do what they're wanting it to do, but they only want it to do 10 things and they have to pay for the package that does 100 things, and they're only using 10% of what they're actually paying for. So that's one option that some companies have gone with. Another option is they want custom AI. A lot of them want custom AI, and that can get expensive. Pretty quickly, and you're talking about apps and different things like that. What we found kind of a sweet spot in the middle is automation, and we do some custom AI. We work with developers and we do custom AI for clients, but this automation is really, you get two systems that just talk to one another, and then that allows us to cut out those repetitive tasks that employees are having to do. A lot of times it's, administrative employees or accounting.
I was going to say, can you give us like an example?
An easy one would be just like taking something from a spreadsheet and just moving it into, a system, a business system.
Yeah.
A lot of times on the back end, you can just optimize that and just have the one talk right to the other. So instead of you being the middleman, the automation becomes the middleman between the two.
Does it for you.
And the nice thing is you can pause an automation, so if something doesn't work or they do an update happens, you can update an automation. You can pause an automation if it's doing something that wasn't expected. So it's really flexible. They're really flexible. They're the cheapest of the bunch. So look at it this way of, buy the boring, augment the seams, and build the secret. So if you look at it that way, like your boring stuff, your accounting system, buy the software, buy the QuickBooks, buy the ERP system that you need, that you're running your $50 million a year business on. You need reliable systems that have full support staffs to run those. And then you look at, well, I've got these other systems. I've got Zoom involved and I got this involved, but I'm just doing the little in-between pieces back and forth between these.
I would assume accounting would be the big one.
Accounting can be a big one because a lot of times you'll have accounting, but then you'll have like your operations platforms. It's like doing something like warehousing, for example. We met a client this week that was doing inventory and warehousing, and they have a separate accounting system. clearly you're going to want data flowing between these systems really seamlessly. And a lot of times they're integrated, but there's often times that they're not, where the integration has a limitation, and then there's a couple, it does most of it, and there's still a couple little gaps in there.
That are mutually exclusive from one another?
They can be. So it just depends on how the integration was built. And there might be a third player that you bring in that doesn't have an integration with either of them. And so we build the integration piece of it, and it ends up being a lot more affordable to customers than going and building the full-blown custom dev software. That's very expensive. It's the most expensive path, but it has its advantages too, which is really interesting because there are times that clients are just very unique in their business processes and they don't find a software that fits them well, and so that works out very well. It's also an asset. Software, you look at software and you're like, how's software an asset? Well, if it's yours and you own it and you built it, then it's yours and you don't have to pay that, software company the, 20% maintenance each year for the use of the software. So actually it can create an interesting case with businesses when they're, in their selling part of their cycle. Sometimes it'll actually change the business valuation. So their multipliers will be higher if they have their own custom software. So it's like I buy a business and I know I don't have to go pay those other guys over there, and I can continue to develop on what they've built, and then I own that. So it actually has value inside of the business to the business as well. So.
Yeah. Talking with Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstein from Adaptive Networks. Call them today at 661-241-0638. We've talked about the ignorance of some business owners. How often do you see that the business owners aren't even aware of the redundancy that they're going through?
Pretty often.
Yeah. I would say that business owners are smart people, but they're smart in the parts that, like what they do.
Yeah.
Like a plumber is going to be an awesome plumber, but they might not be real great with tech.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we want to align the tech and the business and say, okay, you do plumbing really well, and you know how you want these processes to flow. You know what the best way is to start, to your clients come to you and they want a service and you exchange services, and that's moving through your systems from maybe your quoting to your invoicing to ultimately receiving money for those services. So we're trying to help those businesses streamline those processes in between and figure out how we can take less resource to get from the starting point, which is, you look at it, it's like, it's really quote to cash, right? I'm starting somewhere trying to get some money, and then I'm trying to get paid for what I did. And we're trying to shrink that time and shrink the amount of effort that happens in those businesses.
But for the discussion with automations, I would, encourage business owners to talk to your staff and say, what kinds of things are you doing that's repetitive? And, what kinds of things can we save time on? Because at the end of the day, that's the goal of the business owner, right? Is to cut costs. And staff time, labor time is always the most expensive. We did some custom automations. We've been doing custom automations for ourselves internally for several years, and we've been able to automate so many things in our just at Adaptive Networks. Like both of us hate administrative work, so if we can, eliminate that, then we're going to do it.
I think most offices would agree.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
Yeah.
So, for instance, we created an automation that when we onboard new clients. So if we bring on a new client and they have, let's say, 50 users, and it used to take about 30 to 45 minutes per user to bring them on, to like put all of our stuff onto their devices and then, kind of go through the onboarding process. We've created automations where that now takes 30 seconds.
Wow.
And so it's like we can get our, new clients onboarded a lot faster, once we get familiar with their environment. The first thing we do when we bring on a new client is go in and do a discovery and audit their systems and kind of figure out what we're dealing with. And then once we start onboarding the users to our systems, it's we've been able to cut out significant time on our end just in that. So,
and in the long run, this is going to save them money.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ultimately, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
to save them money and
not just time, but money.
Yeah,
because money is time.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, we've done most businesses use QuickBooks, for instance, and so we've been able to create automations that QuickBooks integrates with, and so that's been helpful too. Like Ryan said, taking information from one program and having to put it into another. we're still working and developing on some more complex automations that, are a little bit for some of our,
We can't tell you about those.
yeah, some of our clients,
Those are
it'll be,
secret.
proprietary, but it's going to take a little bit more time, a little bit more engineering to figure out. But that's the great part is we want to be able to solve these problems.
How are clients adopting to this? Are they embracing this?
A lot of them are. It really just depends where the particular client is on their journey with technology. So there's some on their journey that need some education about, what is possible. There's some that already have an awareness. And there's others that are already the leaders. Those are usually the ones that are coming to me. They're like, hey, we want to talk about, running, Claude on our computers, and we're already building stuff internally, and we're already figuring out how to solve some of these problems. And they're doing a lot of that. And then we're coming on the back end and like systemizing those. So where you're building something where you have to keep interacting with it, and it saves you time, it saves you money, sure. But we're moving very rapidly into a world where that stuff just happens automatically in the background. So
automatically,
that's the word. So
that's a nice
it's automatic and it's magic. So it's automagic.
I like that. I'm gonna start using that.
And I mean, what better way to describe it? Because people don't understand it. They're like, it's amazing. It's freaking magic. And it just is automatic. So that's kind of just the joke is we make stuff happen automatically. And it's fun, and it's interesting, and it's creative, and there's always unique challenges. Every client is different. You can look at 10 different clients that are in the same industry, and what they want to automate is going to be different probably across all 10 of them. They might have some similarities in between, but they're going to have different, wants and needs and desires, because we've all built our businesses to be unique. We want our business to do something different than our competitor and have some, value proposition that's different. And so the way that we use systems and interact with them is going to be different. So your automation can be as unique as your business. It's not just some cookie cutter out of the box. Well, this is what you get. It works for everybody else. It better work for you. That's those softwares you buy from the big box softwares.
Yeah.
So it's really the sweet spot is being in that automation layer.
Yeah. We're out of time. We're talking with Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstein. I'm a business owner. I'm driving around Bakersfield, listening to the Ralph Bailey Show. I'm listening to this, and you've piqued my interest. What should they do?
They should certainly give us a call. And then just remember, if buy the boring, augment the in-between, the gaps, and then build the secret stuff. If you just look at your business like that, go, okay, I bought the accounting, I've got the in-between between the accounting and this system, augment that. And then the other one is when it's like something, there's nothing out there that can do it, and you're truly doing something unique, build it.
Yeah.
Call us, 661-241-0638.
Or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstein, Adaptive Networks, providing all the IT right here for American General Media. Always good seeing you guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Quick time out. We head toward the 4. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. There's not much going on in the chat room. Then at the top of the hour, we'll talk about the Clancy trial, which jurors were sent home early. But again, I'm starting to lean toward not guilty because of insanity. We'll talk about that and the testimony of her forensic therapist right after the break. You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
The state of California needs money because of the way we've been spending our Medicare money. They decided that we need to talk to you guys about this. How about if we withhold $867 million from you? Will that get your attention? The Trump administration, and they have greater expectations of you. So if you can't deliver, they ain't going to deliver either.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
I literally was just down the hall on my last break talking about the fourth quarter of my life with Rand Dizzle down in the hot studios. And I was telling him just what a 500-pound gorilla I got off my back about 10 years ago when I became a client at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. I don't have to worry about the late fourth quarter in my life. Who knows when that could be? That could be tomorrow. That could be 5 years from now. That could be 20 years from now, for all I know. And that's why I suggest you call Daniel at 661-395-9400. If you're over 50, it's time to start thinking about the late fourth quarter in your life. Become a client of Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, and just tune in on Thursdays at 4:30 when Daniel joins us with all the information on silver, gold, the deficit, et cetera, et cetera. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-924-7415. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-924-7415. 800-924-7415. 800-924-7415.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. For the Central Valley, that means local service including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise is still the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know who I saw the other night? His daughter Paris, who gets better looking as she grows older. She was hanging out with her aunt, Janet. I guess there are now 2 sides of the family. There's like the Jermaine side and everybody that was involved with the film. LaToya, the nephew. Who else is still alive? Tito's gone.
Oh, they're not burning the nephew for this, are they?
Who?
The one who played
Janet
him?
and Paris?
Jafar, right? What's
Yeah.
that kid's name?
Well, they're just not happy with the production, the Janet Jackson, Paris Jackson side of the family. They're not happy with what they did. And you know there's a sequel.
Yeah.
I told Mr. Bentley, there's going to be a sequel. Why would you leave that money on the table?
There's a whole half of his life you never touched.
And, it's done by the family, so he'll look like the innocent suspect in the whole child molestation thing, but it is what a TI is. They ain't leaving that money on the table. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got on the board?
Just one. Says, Ralph, anytime I push my radio button to Kern Radio and hear you talking politics and candidates, I push another button and look for music or another talk show. Your political analysis is a crapshoot, a roll of the dice. And when you are found to be completely wrong about your predictions, you just don't care. Your words are worthless. I can ask a 8-ball and get the same information just as useful.
And so, what? What do you want me to do? What do you want us to do? You had to make a declaration that you turn the channel. Thank you for that. Appreciate you.
That's also kind of the point of predictions.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong.
Exactly. You guys crack me up. You really do. But you listen, because you'd have to listen consistently to know that I make political predictions. And to know that I'm wrong and I'm right, you're listening consistently. All I ask is that if you get a diary, just tell the truth. You listen to the program. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a moron. I'm a racist. But you, the intellectual, is listening to the moron, which is just the funniest thing in the world. And you're so stupid, you don't even get the whole stupidity of listening to a radio show and going out of your way to write into that radio show that I listen so much I don't listen anymore. Just tell the truth if you get a diary. Not that I care at this point in my career or in my life, but it's comical. This group of people that love to call in here and tell me how stupid I am and how they don't listen, but yet you're calling into the station. I'm sorry. I've been doing this way too long. It just cracks me up. Do I have time to get into this? I really, really don't. We're going to talk about after the break the Lindsay Clancy case. This is a complicated case that I don't know. You guys may not be happy with my take on this thing because I think she's going to be found not guilty due to insanity. I really, really do. When we come back, you're going to hear from Dr. Paul Zeisel, who I will grant you had powerful testimony, but was kind of ripped apart in cross-examination by the prosecution because, as I've mentioned a couple of times, he's friends with the defense attorney, which is always problematic. And he seems to be one of these pay-for-hire therapists. You know what I mean? There are these therapists and doctors, for that matter, who make a pretty good living testifying. I don't know if you've ever seen the motion picture The Verdict with Paul Newman and Jack Warden, and that's about all the big. Oh, and James Mason plays the arch rival attorney. It's a great film, but he has to go and buy essentially an anesthesiologist to come in here and testify, and it's an old black man who worked in a women's prison. So that's setting up the David and Goliath thing that is the picture of The Verdict. But there are doctors like that, and this guy seems to be one of them. But again, his testimony, I think, was riveting. And the fact that I just recently learned that Clancy went to her mother and the husband and said that she was hearing voices and that she was going to harm the children. And I think the $50,000 question is, how in the world did anyone in that family leave her alone with those 3 kids? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, which I find hard to believe, but the Lindsay Clancy case is the case where the mother was having a postpartum psychosis, according to her. The prosecution would disagree with that, but the defense is relying on the testimony of this doctor, postpartum psychosis, the idea that she admitted that she was hearing voices, et cetera, and that's what caused her to do this. Now, either way, she's not going to be walking the streets. This didn't happen in Kern County, where Monty Hall, made a deal. She'll be out of prison in a couple of years. No, that's not the case. She'll be in a state mental hospital for the rest of her life if found not guilty due to insanity. She's paralyzed because she claims she tried to commit suicide. I'll tell you why the prosecution differs with that theory coming up after the break. Then we'll get into the Penn State case, the cocaine ring running out of a frat house, and Cal City officials are not happy with our local DA as well. That's all coming up in the 4. Don't go anywhere.
Current Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Florida Republicans have settled on Representative Byron Donalds as their candidate for governor. That now makes 8 black major party nominees for governor's jobs this year.
Byron Donalds is celebrating his win in the Republican primary for governor in Florida. Donalds ran with President Trump's endorsement, and he has embraced that on the campaign trail. He did not mention the president on stage, and in fact, much of his campaign is about addressing Floridians' concerns about their economic struggles.
An affordable Florida starts with a limited government that respects hardworking taxpayers who fund it.
He's running with that Trump endorsement, but almost making an implicit criticism of Donald Trump's economy. Donalds does not talk about his historic candidacy, but he would be the first black governor of Florida. He would be the first black Republican governor elected in the United States.
Correspondent Bill Barrow reporting. President Trump will delay the 50% U.S. tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian imports.
Less than 2 hours before he was set to impose 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian imports, President Trump announced on social media that the U.S. and Canada have a deal, subject, he writes, to the finalization of documents. Trump's import taxes would have hit about 5% of what Canada ships to the U.S., including products ranging from hockey sticks to tongue depressors. And Canada had threatened to respond in kind, but those sanctions are now delayed, buying time for more negotiations and avoiding, for now, yet another strain in already tense relations between historic allies. Ben Thomas, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 119 points. The Nasdaq rose 41, with the S&P 500 advancing 18 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Your medication for enlarged prostate is working. That's what you tell yourself. You're up 3 times a night instead of 5. The urgency is manageable. The stream's not great, but it's fine. That's the problem. Fine. Enlarged prostate, or BPH, doesn't pause because the medication takes the edge off. The prostate keeps growing. The bladder keeps working harder. And over time, those changes can be harder to reverse. But surgery? Not for you, right? Aquablation is not the surgery you're picturing. It's the only ultrasound-guided, robotic-assisted therapy for enlarged prostate. Don't wait until things become unbearable. Find an Aquablation urologist near you. Visit aquablation.com. Aquablation.com. That's aquablation.com. Visit aquablation.com. All surgical treatments carry risks, and results may vary. Side effects may include, but are not limited to, urinary symptoms, mild pain, infection, or less frequently, urethral or rectal injury, or ejaculatory dysfunction. Aquablation therapy may not be right for everyone. Talk to your urologist to learn more. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
I'm Rob Archer. Some Kern County Catholic churches are learning that money raised for local building projects could instead help pay for a bankruptcy settlement involving clergy sexual abuse claims. At St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Church in Bakersfield, more than $9 million have been set aside for a new building. Church leaders say they were originally told parish money would be protected, but the Fresno Diocese put the money into a general account, and lawyers for abuse victims argue those funds can now be used in the bankruptcy settlement. A California City Council member says the recorded conversation that helped trigger an internal investigation was nothing more than what he called a butt call. City officials say independent investigations involving Councilmember Ronald Smith and Mayor Marquette Hawkins found no misconduct. Smith says the recording was accidental and argues it was made illegally. Hawkins has also questioned whether the recording was legal. The city has not released the full investigative reports. Kern County Sheriff's Office is warning about another round of phone and text scams. Deputies say scammers are pretending to be sheriff's employees and demanding money for fake warrants, missed jury duty, ankle monitors, and other court problems. Some demand gift cards, Bitcoin, or electronic payments. The sheriff's office says it will never ask you for money over the phone or by text. Police are looking for a blue Toyota SUV after a hit-and-run crash near Bakersfield College damaged power equipment. No one was hurt. Police say the SUV may have front-end damage. Bakersfield stays hot today with a high around 104. Tomorrow should be around 105, with Friday staying near 104 before temperatures ease a little this weekend. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Until the rest well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 19th day of August. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com and streaming live right now. I guess that's what live means, huh? On YouTube. And if there's some portion of the program, say the Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstein interview that you missed, you can go back later tonight after the broadcast and review that, or any other portion of the show for that matter. That's one of the geniuses of YouTube. In the meantime, we've got lots to do. Coming up in the 5, we'll talk a little baseball. The Dodgers got off the schneid again with a close victory, but still having bullpen problems. Edwin Diaz has been put on the IL. He's been complaining of neck problems. Maybe that's the problem with his velocity, which is significantly down from when he was throwing at Citicorp in New York City. And Tanner Scott struggled again. He pitched an inning and an out, an inning and a third, and gave up a run. Thankfully, we had a 2-run cushion. But if you have a closer, you need him to be able to close out 1-run games. You know, any major league pitcher should be able to come in 1 inning and preserve a 2-run or a 3-run lead. But the Mariano Rivera is the reason he is the single. Did you know this, by the way? The single unanimous Hall of Famer. Did you know that? Single, nobody else. Which, of course, is as moronic as it gets. Babe Ruth wasn't unanimous. Hank Aaron wasn't unanimous. Willie Mays wasn't unanimous. Bob Gibson, Mickey Mantle. None of those guys were okay. But we got big time issues. Evan Phillips is starting to look better. Jack Dreyer, I think, is going to end up with the deal. Since June of this year, last 24 games, he's got an ERA of 1.69, and he's a left-hander. So against the Phillies and the Brewers, who've got some really awesome left-handed hitting, he is going to have to come in and get it done. And I think now that Shohei is throwing again, throw him out there. I think that's the perfect situation, as opposed to having him try to struggle and throw 60, 70, 80 pitches and go 5, 6, 7 innings. Why don't you just throw him in the bullpen? And I think you're going to see Roki Sasaki when the playoffs start in the playoffs. All depends on Tyler Glasnow's health. He's up and throwing, I understand. The good news is Blake Snell looked great. He looked absolutely great. That's good news. And the other good news is, as much as I complain and whine and cry about this Dodger club, we're now in the second spot. So we are in a pennant race of sort where we're trying to either run down Milwaukee or just maintain that second position and avoid that wild card spot. We're ahead of the Braves. And who's the fourth team? Is it you guys? No, it's not Philly. It's the Braves and...
Because D-backs are above us right now, I believe.
I can't remember who that fourth team is, but nevertheless, we're in the second hole, which avoids that wild card, that 3-game wild card that we got bounced in about 3 years ago by the Padres. So we don't have anything to do with that.
Cubs.
The Cubs are that fourth team, and they are playing good baseball.
God, that must suck too. They're having the best years like they've had in forever, and they've still sat behind the Brewers the whole time.
Yeah. And again, I think you look at all three of those teams, other than us, and that money thing, just the argument doesn't stand. That's why the lockout is going to be fierce, because the players are going to say, look at the Brewers. Look at the Cubs. They didn't make any massive signings, and they're competitive. The Braves, look at these teams. So we'll see what happens. Meantime, in the Commonwealth Lindsay Clancy trial, they sent the jurors home early because of, quote, unforeseen circumstances. The judge said, don't make a big deal out of this. It's not a big deal. Just go home, enjoy yourself, come back tomorrow. But before they left, they heard the testimony of Dr. Paul Zeisel. He is the I keep saying physical therapist. He is the forensic therapist for Lindsay Clancy. She was one of his patients. And he also happens to be a friend of the defense, which the prosecution certainly highlighted in cross-examination. Here is, however, and I think some pretty moving testimony from Dr. Paul Zeisel.
My opinion is that she did have indeed a mental disease or a defect. That's a legal construct, not a DSM-5 one, but she had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
That last phrase is the key. Play that one more time, Chris. Pay attention to the last things he said. Just play the whole thing.
Whole thing? Okay.
Yeah, play the whole thing.
My opinion is that she did have indeed a mental disease or a defect. That's a legal construct, not a DSM-5 one, but she had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
She had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act. It will all be determined on how the jury interprets that. If they take that as gospel, she's in a hospital for the rest of her life. If they agree with the prosecution, who came back and said, wait a minute. Has she had any voices since she killed her kids? And the answer is no. The prosecution will, isn't that a coincidence, doctor? That you're telling me that this woman had voices in her head, but you're now telling me that somehow they were solved with the murder of the 3 children? Why is she not continuing to have voices? So this is, I don't know how to interpret this stuff. I really, really don't. Either this is cataclysmic for the prosecution, or they just don't buy it and trying to focus on what the prosecution is saying, and that is, it's still against the law to kill your kids. It's still against the law to commit murder. And claiming that you were hearing voices is no pass for taking a rope or an exercise thing, a rubber piece of hose, and strangling 3 children. But the testimony, it's kind of a perfect storm. Because remember, there's testimony from her mother, okay, granted, a biased witness, and the husband, who, by the way, has already remarried. Her husband is already remarried. Now, I don't know if that has any impact on the jury. Does that have any impact on y'all? The fact that he's remarried? I suppose not. It seems a little bizarre to me. You just buried 3 children. Your wife's on trial for killing them. And you've got this active social life. You're going out for margaritas and meeting people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't think that really has anything to do with anything. But nevertheless, just thought I'd throw that in there. But here is more from Dr. Paul Zeisel.
Intrusive thoughts are unrelenting. They don't stop. They're what we call ego dystonic. You don't want them. They keep interfering with your ability to get through the day.
Did she have, at this point, intrusive thoughts continuing regarding voices that in her head that she heard constantly?
Yes.
What were these voices saying to her?
They were getting worse, and they were telling her to kill herself.
But they all stopped when she whacked her kids. That's what the prosecution yelled at him. All of a sudden, we've not had one report of her hearing thoughts and ideas and voices after she killed her 3 children, aged 5, 3, and 8 months. This is going to be a very close call. But again, the testimony of the mother and the testimony of the husband who's remarried was she did voice to them, to both the husband and the mother, some fear that she was going to harm her children. So for me, that gives me more weight to putting her in an insane asylum as opposed to prison. Because as far as I'm concerned, some of the responsibility, and this is why I think it's bizarre that the husband is remarried so quickly, some of the burden, in my opinion, has to be on the mom and the husband or anybody else who heard her say out loud, I'm thinking about hurting my children. This is straight out of Kern County. This is if she'd gone to Lito Murillo and Child Protective Services and told this, and they completely ignored her. Well, the family did the Lito Murillo and completely ignored her. How can you allow anybody in your family who says, I'm going to harm somebody, how are you not putting them in instant therapy or calling, doing something drastic, let alone leaving those 3 children in her care? Some of that responsibility has to fall on the mother, has to fall on the husband. And that's why I think it's bizarre that this guy has no guilt, no sense of responsibility, no sense of stepping in and saving his 3 kids from a woman who told him. I mean, even if my wife had come to me, or even my baby mama, who doesn't even live with me, come to me and say, I'm contemplating hurting our child, you don't get to see that child no more. Never again. I'll go to court. I'll do whatever I have to keep your ass away from those kids. And nobody did that. And I mean, this is Hansel and Gretel stuff. If you examine the trial, did you know that Lindsay reached out to a suicide hotline? Yeah, she called a suicide hotline. You know what they told her? You know what they told her? They told her that you don't meet the requirements. What? They told her that she had not made a plan to kill herself, so she didn't make the requirements. Good night. Hung up on her. You don't meet the requirements. So essentially, brilliantly, the defense is not making this about Lindsay Clancy. They're making this an indictment on how we've been talking about this for how long? We talked about this earlier in the week when it came to the USS Lincoln. And I've got some more information on that, by the way, because there's a destroyer that's going through the same mess that the Lincoln was going through because they were out there the same amount of time. I've got more information on that. But we were just talking about that when it referred to the Lincoln. And now you've got somebody telling somebody who is contemplating suicide that they don't meet the ramifications, they don't meet the qualifications, I should say, for us to talk to you because you don't have a plan to kill yourself. Good night, goodbye. She's left a trail of somebody help me. She really did. As despicable of an act that she committed, as despicable of a human being as she is somewhere deep in the psychosis, she left a trail as clear as maybe even Lito Murillo could trace. Calling the suicide hotline, talking to her mother, talking to her husband, seeing a therapist, telling the therapist, I'm hearing voices, talking about this constantly. She was seeking help. And everyone ignored her. And I think that's kind of the thesis for our entire, we talked about this the other day with Carlos Beldavinos and Michael Bowers, that there is a mental health crisis going on in this nation, and we're doing bupkis about it. Absolutely nothing. We hear it. We talk a good game about it, but we're doing nothing about it. We really aren't. Because once again, either it's Genesis Mata or it's Lindsay Clancy, these people that leave this trail of, look, Genesis Mata is not coming to school. She's coming to school bruised when she does show up, and nobody paid attention. 20 different calls into Child Protective Services here in Kern County, and nobody separated Genesis Mata from Ray and Griselle Bustamante. And this woman, Lindsay Clancy, called a suicide hotline, and they say, you don't qualify. She don't walk. She's going to walk. There's no way they find her guilty. No way in the world. No way in the world. They'll find her not guilty by means of insanity. Quick time out. Coming back, we'll check the board again. Nobody's talking in the chat room. Nobody's watching us today. We'll see, have like 50 viewers watch.
Well, the first half hour of the show was kind of spotty because of internet. That's kind of what it was.
Oh, is that right?
I fixed it once the Van Alsteins came in here. Hopefully we'll
That's
get some.
ironic. Did I really just take a sip of water right in the middle of the broadcast?
Yes, you did.
Getting way too comfortable on this show, boy. Way too comfortable. We got to take a break. Come right back. Again, we'll check the board. Coming up by the hour, we're going to California City and find out what's going on out there. Then at the top of the hour, the Penn State campus is running amok. You know, they recently had another fraternity situation where a pledgee got killed. And this is the same Penn State that turned a blind eye to Joe Paterno, who turned a blind eye to his coach molesting his students. Why the hell, unless you want to play linebacker or running back, why the hell you go to Penn State? I have no idea. And why Congress or maybe somebody doesn't examine what is going on this campus. Because wait till you hear the intricate, complex cocaine distribution center they created in two fraternities on a small little campus in Happy Valley. Coming right back, it's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio.
Adaptive.
KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
Dr. Sam Woggood, transfer to the University of California at San Francisco, was asked, can only women get pregnant? And that was asked by Representative Mary Miller. You know what? He couldn't answer it. That's what I'm talking about, because everybody listening to me right now knows that only women can get pregnant in the human race.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hope you're with us about an hour ago with Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstein from Adaptive Networks. We're live in studio. They provide all of our IT work here at American General Media. And if you didn't hear it, you can go back on YouTube and rewatch the interview. If you're a business person, you'd want to listen to this interview. It was a fascinating discussion about things that you may not know, redundancies that are going on and stuff that you're paying for that you don't have to. And in the long run, that's what Adaptive Networks are all about. Reliability and getting into your business, just kind of making it simple and not having your IT person have to come out constantly, time after time after time, when in fact, they're really just solving the same problem they solved before. Get in contact with the folks at Adaptive Networks today. Call them at 661-241-0638. If you're looking for somebody who's reliable, will be there when you need them, and will advance you into the 21st century. It's the folks at Adaptive Networks. Hit them online at adaptive-net.com.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me, they calm me down, they make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
So yesterday, Howard and I debated on what's going on with the USS Lincoln, which is headed back to port, and the USS George Washington is headed out there to, replace them. This after many of the sailors and maybe some of the Marines on the ship contacted family, because again, let's understand, it wasn't as if these sailors were complaining to the media or trying to reach out and make a big deal out of this. The families were the ones that are getting these letters that, we have no showers, we have no portable water, we have no deodorant, we have no toothpaste. I'm eating raw chicken. Last night I had rice and tortillas. And, I was blown away that Howard took the take. Well, you signed up for it. Too bad. Because I always thought it was always about the men. And does it really surprise anybody with Pete Hegseth heading the Pentagon that this is going on? And now we find out that one of the 3 destroyers that's out there is also having problems where they have no portable water. They have no restroom area. And then we found out this morning, or at least I did, that the one destroyer that I'm talking about had no electricity for 4 days. For 4 days, these guys were jumping around out there in the Sea of Japan or wherever the hell they are with no electricity. That's just unacceptable. That is just unacceptable. And again, I always thought it was about the men. I thought that's what Hegseth was all about. Have you ever heard of anything like this? In your lifetime, have you ever heard anything like this? And then you think it's a coincidence that Fox and Friends guy is heading the Pentagon and this kind of nonsense is going on? He's a joke, ladies and gentlemen. He's a joke. And you want to know a bigger joke? From the political guru, regardless of what that idiot said in his text, Pete Hegseth is going to run for president. And it's going to be the funniest campaign in the world. It'll last about 10 seconds because this guy is stupid. He's obviously intelligent. He's obviously got a high IQ. He's a brave son of a gun because he's a veteran, but he's a moron. He's an absolute moron. And I just don't think it's a coincidence that an aircraft carrier just set the record for being out at sea under the Hegseth leadership at the Pentagon, or that a destroyer was bopping around 4 days without electricity. Again, I thought it was all about the men, all about the veterans, all about those guys and gals out there risking their lives. And we got them out there floating around on a ship that doesn't have electricity for 4 days. We're feeding them rice and tortilla chips for dinner, raw chicken. They have no portable water. They can't bathe. They can't shave. They have no deodorant. Are you kidding me? That's how we treat our servicemen? And Trump says, well, they ain't out there long enough. And, Hegseth, the Department of War, you really think this is a coincidence that a guy went from Fox and Friends to heading the Pentagon, and we're experiencing this kind of thing for the first time that I've ever seen in my 64 years of life? Quick time out, headed to the back half of the hour. I'd stick around if I you.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The national debt has surpassed a record $40 trillion, highlighting the impact of defense costs, social programs, and interest on the deficit. This milestone comes just 5 months after hitting $39 trillion. Experts say the growing debt is already affecting Americans by raising borrowing costs and lowering wages. Advocates for a balanced budget warn of tougher fiscal trade-offs ahead. The United Arab Emirates have suspended all trade with Iran after it said it had come under renewed fire from the country. That will further isolate the Islamic Republic. The country is already suffering under U.S. sanctions and a blockade. Incoming ballistic missile fire triggered nationwide warnings Tuesday night for UAE residents to seek shelter. More details at srnnews.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Rob Archer. The Bakersfield man killed while crossing a street in Santa Ana has been identified as Esteban Ramon Rentarian. Police say he was crossing Warner Avenue outside a marked crosswalk early Sunday when he was hit. He later died at the hospital. Police say the driver stayed at the scene and cooperated. Police are looking for a blue Toyota SUV after a hit-and-run crash knocked out power near Bakersfield College. No one was hurt. Police say the SUV may be similar to a Toyota FJ Cruiser, could have front-end damage. The Kern County District Attorney's Office is reopening its review of a 2021 internet sting involving former YouTuber Bryant Moreland, known online as EDP445. A new documentary prompted prosecutors to take another look at the case. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. With burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and local service, our promise to the Central Valley remains the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
Valley Plaza Mall has introduced a new preferred parking program to give shoppers the option of having a guaranteed upfront parking space in a section of the parking lot for a fee. And by the way, this is taken off all across the country. You want to park up close, you can, but you're going to have to pay for it.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230.
842-5376, 842-KER. So you guys hear what's going on in Cal City? I've been ignoring this story because California City is so wacky. But it was of interest. I checked it out. KGT was reporting it big this morning that their mayor, Marquette Hawkins, who's a relatively new mayor, and Ron Smith, a city councilman, were, I guess, teamed together, according to Justin Vincent, to fire Justin Vincent, their safety director, back in July of 2025. Well, Mr. Vincent says that he and his attorney has a audio clip of Mr. Hawkins, the mayor, Mayor Hawkins, and Councilman Smith, Ron Smith, discussing his departure, which is a violation of the Brown Act and could be a civil violation as well. He could have some actionable financial gain from this. However, his evidence is an illegal taping of the two of them. So they are calling for the district attorney to get involved, Cynthia Zimmer. Mayor Hawkins insists, or at least he told KGT, that he has contacted the DA's office on Truxtun for months now and have heard no response. And again, that goes along with my reporting and my sources who tell me that it's utter chaos downtown. Utter chaos. Lawsuits. You just saw an investigator leave. They just rehired somebody from the BPD. And from what I'm told, it is absolute chaos. You saw, Lyle Wagner, Lyle Alzado. You don't
know a lot of Lyles.
There are not a whole lot of Lyles. Lyle Lovett.
Dang it.
Yeah, boy. That's a good one. That is a good one. Wasn't he married to Julia Roberts at one point?
I could not tell you on that.
Hey, Siri, was Lyle Lovett ever married to Julia Roberts?
Lyle Lovett was married to Julia Roberts from 1993
Told
to
you.
1995.
Isn't he an ugly son of a gun? I can't even picture Lyle Lovett right now. But
no.
My picture of him is like a leather face, right?
Yeah.
Like a wrinkly old
with really weird hair.
Yeah, and big old ears too. Doesn't he kind of?
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah, he's not a pretty looking dude.
And yet she passed up George Clooney because they're like pals. They're totally in the friendship box. Do you think celebrities like that, before he got married? I don't think he's screwing around now that he's married this genius.
Yeah.
But you think like pals like that? You think they hook up?
Probably.
I think they do. I think once you work with somebody, and particularly if it's a rom-com, if it's a love thing where you have to make out.
Well, not even just that, but just like any of these superhero movies, like when you're Superman and Lois or Peter and MJ, it's kind of like there's a pressure to even try just to see if it works.
Well, I heard, because I don't know anything about the Spider-Man franchise like you do, but I heard, who's the big woman that's in charge?
Marvel?
Yeah, there's a big female executive.
Oh God,
that's been involved with all the movies. No, it's a female that's been involved with all the movies. Anyway, it doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter. She told Zendaya and Tom Holland not to hook up. She said, "I'm not telling you what to do."
Oh, at first, no,
Yeah,
yes, that was the thing.
because
I did hear
all
that.
the other like Tobey Maguire and who was the love interest?
I can never remember her name. Kristen Dunst, I think.
They hooked up. Then who was the other guy?
Andrew Garfield
And who was the love interest?
Emma Stone.
They hooked up, and neither one of them worked.
No.
And that was the
Well,
point.
actually, Emma and Andrew were going for a while, but
But it didn't work.
no, but it didn't work out. You're right.
And that's the point she was making to them.
Yeah.
She said, "I'm not trying to manipulate you young kids and tell you what to do. I'm just telling you that the curse of Spider-Man has not worked out. And when the two stars get together, both of them failed. And, you can't tell people who to love."
I do remember that being a thing. I don't know if she's the actual head, because the head of Marvel is Kevin Feige, but
It was some big wig. Some
it was
female
probably
bigwig.
one of the people like
One of the
producing the
producers.
movie.
Yeah. But we totally got off track there. What was I talking about? California City.
California City.
What's going on out there? I don't know. I wish we had Terry Golder in here every day to ask her questions like this, whether or not that would prohibit some sort of suit from this Justin Vincent character who illegally caught these guys on tape. But it just always seems like it's something coming out of Cal City, isn't it? Just kind of weird. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's read a couple texts.
Let's see. But Ralph, are we going to talk about the president and Natalie? Everyone else is.
No, I thought that was that's John Ossoff who started that, the Georgia Senate incumbent who's running and threw that out there. I thought that was a low blow. You don't have to bring her into this. That I just thought that was despicable. That's somebody's grandchild. That's somebody's daughter. If you don't know what I'm talking about, John Ossoff in a campaign speech said something like, the president doesn't have time to do this. He doesn't have time for affordability, but he can run around. What's the child's name?
I can't remember off the top of my head now.
I thought you just said it. The one that I thought it's in the text message, I thought.
No, Natalie. I'm sorry.
Natalie. Yeah. But he has time to run around with Natalie, who's his body man. Did you ever watch West Wing? You watch West Wing?
Very little, but I know of it.
Okay. Well, there was a DC black kid who was the president's body man in the West Wing. He became a pretty big character because he ended up dating the president's daughter, which could never happen. No president would let a black guy. Anyway, well, that's who Natalie is. And the body man is the person that, where's my glasses? Here they are, Mr. President. Where's my pen? Here's the pen, Mr. President. They're the body man. They do whatever the president needs to do. Hey, I left the Bible up in the East Wing. I'll go get it, Mr. President. And for her to besmirch him and try to imply that there's something going on, like she wants to get with an 80-year-old man. Come on. That was just an absolute cheap shot. There's so much you can go after Trump for. Are you kidding me? That's what you're going for? And the reason that this became news is because Natalie was one of the 4 that the president took with him when they thought that the old Air Force One was not secure. He left Marco Rubio, he left Stephen Miller, he left his Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, but he took his body gal, and that started, stupid. You guys know, I'm not a Trump fan. I'd vote for him again if he went up against a Democrat. Certainly the Democrats that they're putting forward, but I'm not a fan of this guy. I wouldn't defend him, but that's just a cheap shot. That girl is somebody's daughter, and she has the great honor of working in the White House. Do you know what an honor that is? Do you know what you have to do to be eligible to be the president's body man? And to take a swipe at her when she's done nothing, and there's absolutely no even implication there's some kind of relationship between this young girl and an 80-year-old man. Yeah, she's extremely dedicated to the president, but I doubt if she wants to hook up with a man who's 5-6 decades older than she is. And for John Ossoff to go there when there's so much more he could be talking about. Even I saw some Democrats on Abby Phillip last night attacking Ossoff on that, just saying, you're missing the target, brah. It's affordability. It's the economy, stupid. It's not some young, cute staffer that travels with the president. Just an absolute cheap shot by Ossoff, and I hope it hurts his Senate campaign down in Georgia. Although it's looking pretty good, actually. It's looking pretty good for the Democrats down in Georgia. What else?
Ralph, do you think that the Jackson 5 would have been successful without Joe Jackson beating the bejesus out of him?
Well, I mean, I think that gets exaggerated. You could say, would Ralph Bailey be here if Ralph Sr. didn't beat the bejesus out of me? I had about 5 or 6 pretty damn good whoopings, beyond just the spankings that I got as a child. But I'm talking about from about 8 to about 13, 14. Because at about 14, I was in a situation where I should have gotten a whooping. My dad said, I bet you expect me to whoop you, but I'm not. I'm not, Ralph. You're 14 freaking years old. And if you haven't grasped our morals and our principles and you don't understand what we as Bailey stand for, there's no whooping that's going to put it in your numbskull thick head. But get this, if you don't do this and this and this, this and this and this, ain't happening. That car out in the garage, you ain't driving it. If a D comes into this house again You ain't driving. My parents were really smart about putting carrots in front of me. And the biggest, of course, was sports. I've told you the story, 9th grade. I'm getting a D in biology, Dr. Yao's class, where my father would eventually end up in. I'll tell that part of the story in just a second. But I get a D. We had progress reports at private school. Again, another advantage of private education. And I was getting a D in biology. And I made the mistake of telling my dad that Dr. Yao didn't like me and he picked on me and blah, 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 blah. So my dad said, "Is that right? He picks on you?" I go, "Yes." And I thought my dad was like interested. It's like, "Yes, he picks on me. I think it's because I'm black, Dad. That's what I think. That's what I think." He said, "Really? Well, then I should look into it." I was like, "That's right. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call down to the school. I'm going to see if I can attend one of your classes." "What? Huh? What do you mean attend one of my classes?" "Well, I want to see him interact with you. I want to sit in your class." No. You can't do that. You can't do that. They won't let you do that, Dad. Oh, no, Dr. Yao, he's strict, Dad. He'll never let you in the classroom." "Okay, well, I'm going to show up tomorrow. And if Dr. Yao doesn't let me in, I'll go back to work. But if he does, I want to see him pick on my son." And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And he damn sure showed up. The whole morning, I'm just about to throw up. And it's getting closer and closer to third period. And I'm like, he ain't gonna show up. Nah, he ain't gonna show up. And I'm walking from second period, which was kind of near the library, which was kind of near the parking lot. And I look in the parking lot and I see my dad's car. And I'm like, what have you done, Ralph? What have you done? But the point of the matter is, I had to sit out playing football for 2 weeks until I got my next progress report. And my father made me stand in front of my team and tell them why I couldn't play for the next 2 weeks and blah, 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 blah. And that was the incentive that they put in front of me to keep my education going. And I think that's the way you have to handle it, with that fear of discipline. And just because Joe Jackson disciplined his kids, is he at fault? Why? Because he made them all millionaires? Because he's gone and now they're still thriving, other than Michael, who got involved with drugs, had nothing to do with Joe Jackson. But he took a bunch of kids growing up in the ghetto of Gary, Indiana. I don't know if you've ever been to Gary, Indiana. I haven't either, but I've heard about it. And back in the 70s, when these kids were growing up, it was one of the worst ghettos in the country. And all Joe Jackson did was put these kids together and make them millionaires. I have consistently said, I believe Joe Jackson gets a bad beef. I really do. Because back in those days, particularly in black families, the parents put their hands on their kids. And it wasn't just a dad thing. My mother never said, wait till your daddy gets home. My mother said, where's the belt? Where's the belt? Or if it was an impromptu beating, shoot, Harry'd be like, get over here, boy. Are you kidding? And I know that whoopings get a bad take in the 21st century, but as I talk about, whenever I talk about this, if you ask parents that grew up then that aren't spanking their kids now, did you get spanked? To a person, they say, of course I got spanked. Well, you turned out all right. What's the problem? Let's pass it down from generation to generation. But we haven't. We've created a safety net for these kids. And now they're entitled. They are entitled. They don't work. They're sitting at home. They're not even talking on the phone. They're not dating. They're not marrying. They're not having kids. And I believe that's our problem. I think that's part of, what am I? I'm not a boomer, am I? My generation Z, X, Y, I don't know, whatever.
No, you may be on the cusp of
my
boomer.
generation, those who grew up in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, I think it's our fault. So no, I don't. To answer your question long-windedly, no. I think Joe Jackson gets a damn bad break. I wish my daddy could put a band, me and Patrice and Bettina, in a trio and made us millionaires. I'll tell you that. The Bailey 3.
65?
What?
Year you were born.
Who cares what year I was born? Why you
I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out baby
62.
boomer. 62? Yeah, you're boomer. You're right at the end of the boomers, but you are a boomer.
All right, let's take a break. Come right back. When we get into the 5, we'll talk about the Penn State cocaine ring. Good googly moogly. And just the idea that those little 18, 19-year-olds were sitting in that frat house cutting up kilos of coke. I got to be like, no, the frat ain't worth it. I'm not going to federal prison just to get into this frat. But it is what it is. We'll give you some details on that. Talk a little sports. Dodgers are in Denver again tonight. I think it's a sweep they're going for. I think it's a 3-game set in Colorado. Beating up on the teams that we should beat up on, but not doing so well against the top-tier teams. But the good news is we're maintaining that second spot, trying to avoid a 3-game wild card playoff at the end of the season. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
Hey, folks, Scott Cox here from the First Look program. I'm taking myself a well-deserved vacation, so enjoy these stylings of whatever idiot they conned into thinking filling in for me would count toward their community service requirements. I'll be back on Monday, bright and early, 6 to 9, right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru to tell you the Subaru A Lot to Love event is going on right now at Sangera Subaru. This is the best time to get an incredible offer on a brand new 2026 Subaru, like a 2026 Outback Premium CVT. Lease one for $229 a month for 36 months with $5,017 due at signing. Offer ends August 31st, so stop by, see my good friends Damon Culbertson and Asad Levy during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Pick out your new Subaru and hit the road. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersville Auto Mall, 24/7 at sangerasubaru.com.
Lease a 2026 Outback Premium CVT for $229 a month plus tax for 36 months. Total payments $8,869. $5,017 due at signing. Includes first payment. Excludes tax, title, license, and fees. Total lease cost $13,886, excluding tax and fees. TSRP $37,287. No security deposit required. Lease based on 7,500 mile per year. 15 cents per mile over. Available to qualified customers through Subaru Motor Finance Tier 1 SCA credit approval. Expires 8/31/26. Excludes optional products and dealer installed accessories. VIN number TY514370.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to carpetoutletplus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
I'm John Busby with Team Busby Real Estate.
And I'm Jonathan Busby with Team Busby Real Estate.
We just wanted to talk with you about what we do as a team. We do a great job for our clients. Some of the things that we do is when we represent sellers, we don't just put the transaction together. We do our homework and we check their FICO score, source of funds, where the money's coming from, and the job stability. Because what we don't want is to get you into an escrow and the escrow falls out because we didn't do our homework.
With any sort of real estate need that you have, we can accommodate, whether it's residential, commercial, land, or multi-units. We have experience in all and can help you to a successful close.
The background that we have is I was a lender for 5 years. And so I learned quite a bit as far as how to keep a transaction together. We don't just put it together and hope that it closes escrow. Nothing's 100%, but we do stack it in your favor.
With any needs or questions with real estate, give us a call at 661-410-7355 or visit our website at www.teambusby.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
I dreamt about Stevie the other night. Right before I went to bed, I saw this podcast. I can't remember whether it was Jamie Foxx or another black comedian, but they were talking about the black culture secret. You know,
That's Steve, you can see.
yeah.
Just that's the joke I was about to make to you too. It's like you say, "Hey, Ralph."
Oh no, it was Shaq. It was Shaq. Shaq. It was a highlight of Shaq's funniest things, and Shaq was telling the story about how he used to live in the same building with Stevie. I don't know whether that was in L.A. or Miami. I'm assuming probably Miami.
You think Miami?
Because I don't really, maybe LA. Yeah, probably LA. Maybe it was during his playing years. And he said he was in the elevator and he said, I swear it's true. I used to do Shaq. I swear it's true. I swear it's true. And he said, Stevie got onto the elevator by himself. Shaq said, I just stood there. And Stevie got on the elevator and said, what's up, Shaq? And hit lobby. And Shaq and him like, shut up. You are lying. He said, why would I make that up?
Well, again, blind though is different. Like we all just interpret blind as you don't see a dang thing, it's blackness. But he could probably see shapes.
Well, and I'm sure if you live, I'm sure he can count out the steps from his apartment door to the elevator. And I'm sure, buttons he can feel.
Right, but my point being,
and he knows that the lobby button is probably the one on the bottom.
Probably not even that. He's probably just got a haze over his eyes 24/7, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think he's completely blind. But the hey Shaq is the funny thing.
That's the best part.
That's the best part of the whole story. 842-5376, 842-KRN. I don't have a lot of time for the top of the hour. Is anything left in the board?
Yeah, we got a couple.
What do you got?
Ralph, we just hit 40 trillion. We were at 39 trillion 5 months ago. This is a great presidency. Spend more money, not on the poor, but give more money to the rich and cut their taxes. Great job.
Yeah, we'll talk with our money man tomorrow, Daniel Petrie. I feel sorry. That's why I've always said the only thing that gets me over being old is the fact that I don't have to grow old in this century. You know what I mean? That I'm not Chris's age or even younger, because the fate of Social Security in 20, 30 years, what the deficit's going to look like in 10, 15, 20 years, I am not optimistic. And I'm not even optimistic about the future of the planet. As crazy as that sounds, I will go to my deathbed, hopefully an old man, thinking, y'all gonna blow this up sooner or later. Y'all gonna blow this up sooner or later. Because that's one of the reasons that I supported what the president was doing from the get-go, when I thought that there was a plan, when I thought that there was a strategy. But now that he's claiming that we're going to claim the Strait of Hormuz for ourselves, and we're going to bomb Oman, and we're going to do all these things, it's clear. How can you all think that there was a plan, that there was ever a plan, and that our sailors are jumping off ships because of Pete Hegseth heading the Pentagon? I was all in favor of this, because if those radicals do get a nuclear weapon, we are in trouble. This whole planet is in trouble. And it seems completely unlikely to me that over the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, that some of these rogue nations, some of these clerical devotees or devoutees or just religious freaks, for lack of a better term, aren't going to get a hold of a nuclear weapon at some point. And while I don't believe a lot of the rhetoric that the president spits out there, that had he not stepped in, Israel would already be gone, et cetera, I think there is an opportunity for a small nuclear exchange in that region. Again, that's why I was supportive of the president's efforts when this thing started, when we all thought that there has to be a plan, right? They thought this thing out, right? And I think it's crystal clear. They absolutely did not. They absolutely did not. They got drunk as hell on Venezuela and thought it would go like that. And it simply hasn't. Final hour of the broadcast. I'd stick around if I you.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump was on the White House lawn to inspect some of his pet projects.
President Donald Trump played a White House tour guide, showing off the helipad he's building on the White House lawn before leaning over to add his autograph.
It's 35,000 pounds per square inch.
Trump says the granite being laid for the helipad will leave visiting foreign leaders very impressed, including
President Xi's coming, other heads of state will come.
Trump remains focused on such projects, even as his war in Iran nears the 6-month mark, with his approval ratings down just 2.5 months to go before the critical midterm elections, and as voters are increasingly worried about a weakening economy. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Across 250 years, only 3 elected governors in America have been black, all Democrats and all men, including current Maryland Governor Wes Moore. But Moore could soon have company.
Florida Republicans have settled on Congressman Byron Donalds as their candidate for governor, and that now makes 8 black major party nominees for governors this year. Maryland's Wes Moore is seeking re-election in November. The Democrat is just the 3rd elected black governor in U.S. history. All have been Democrats and men. The November slate includes Democrats and Republicans, men and women. The nominees are promoting their experience and their ideas for all constituents. But many say the possibility of expanding representation matters given the nation's history. Bernie Bennett reporting.
The national debt has surpassed a record $40 trillion, highlighting the impact of defense costs, social programs, and interest on the deficit. This milestone comes just 5 months after hitting $39 trillion. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 119 points, the Nasdaq rose 41, the S&P 500 index advancing by 18. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Every year, summer ends and the kids go back to school. This year, I'm going back too, at My Computer Career. They helped me get financial aid, and I got to choose online or on-campus classes to fit my needs. Now I'm on a fast track to a high-demand IT career where the rewards can finally match my value. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu. It's never too late to go back to school.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Hey, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with Echo. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family. I love a podcast.
Plus, Echo Daily Devotionals.
Echo.
Hey, Willie, what is Echo?
Echo is my pet squirrel. Okay, now, Echo is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
Echo.
Echo.
Where I want to be.
That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe now.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
I'm Rob Archer. Some Kern County Catholic churches are learning that money raised for local building projects could instead help pay for a bankruptcy settlement involving clergy sexual abuse claims. At St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Church in Bakersfield, more than $9 million have been set aside for a new building. Church leaders say they were originally told parish money would be protected, but the Fresno Diocese put the money into a general account, and lawyers for abuse victims argue those funds can now be used in the bankruptcy settlement. A California City Council member says the recorded conversation that helped trigger an internal investigation was nothing more than what he called a butt call. City officials say independent investigations involving Councilmember Ronald Smith and Mayor Marquette Hawkins found no misconduct. Smith says the recording was accidental and argues it was made illegally. Hawkins has also questioned whether the recording was legal. The city has not released the full investigative reports. Kern County Sheriff's Office is warning about another round of phone and text scams. Deputies say scammers are pretending to be sheriff's employees and demanding money for fake warrants, missed jury duty, ankle monitors, and other court problems. Some demand gift cards, Bitcoin, or electronic payments. The sheriff's office says it will never ask you for money over the phone or by text. Police are looking for a blue Toyota SUV after a hit-and-run crash near Bakersfield College damaged power equipment. No one was hurt. Police say the SUV may have front-end damage. Bakersfield stays hot today with a high around 104. Tomorrow should be around 105, with Friday staying near 104 before temperatures ease a little this weekend. I'm Rob Archer in the current newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Welcome to the rest world. In a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 19th day of August. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. We stream live at KERNradio.com. Still lots to do. Tell you about what's going on in Shafter. In fact, we can talk about that right now. The folks out in Shafter are taking a stand on homelessness. I'm happy about this. I've always said, I said this at the top of the show, I've said this for months. I've said this since I was a correspondent for the Californian. My first job in this community was as a correspondent for the Californian, meaning I was an independent contractor. I got paid per article. It was really a fun period. It was independent contract about a year and a half, and worked out of my house. And I think the folks in the North County kind of resented me because this was a great program that the Californian did, where they had a core. There was a core of us. There was a group of us. Pete Thompson, I think his name was, and there was a beautiful young girl that was doing Tehachapi. But we all did the surrounding areas of the county. I had the North County, McFarland, Shafter, Delano, Wasco. Then there were some folks, I think Peter had Tehachapi, and the girl whose name I can't remember, I think she had like Fraser Park and Pine Mountain Club. And then I think there was another correspondent that had like Button Willow and out in that area. And it was really an incredible way to cover the entire county. And it was great for me because it was during the OJ trial. So I would get up really, really early and submit, because you had to submit to the editors what you were going to write about that day. And they kind of had to okay it, obviously. And then you started to dig and write your story. So I would get up early in the morning before court would start at 9 o'clock, and I'd have my rundown in by 8:30. Hey, this is what I'm doing, because I'd call Wasco and Shafter and McFarland. But they started to complain that I was one of the few correspondents that didn't live in their areas. I was still living in Bakersfield and driving out there. And it was my experience as a correspondent where I discovered Shafter. Because I probably, if I had not been a correspondent, I probably would have never even been out to Shafter. But I worked out there for a long time, a year and a half, and I honestly believe that it's the best one, to this day, the best run city in Kern County by far. By far. It's not even close. And I was dealing with guys like John Quinn and those guys back in the day, but they've handed off the baton. And now they are experimenting, or at least examining, an ordinance that would criminalize sleeping in public. And I think that's genius. Now, what they're going to do with all these people, that's, I think, what they're trying to work out, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But to criminalize tents, trailers, campers, motorhomes, anything like that, sleeping on sidewalks in front of businesses, anywhere in public, outdoors, parks, parking structures, sidewalks, whatever. I think that is genius. And I think it is a travesty that we still have that going on. I live downtown. I live near retail. I live near Casey's Steakhouse, near the Arco. And there's not a day goes by that there's not a homeless person that I encounter, either in the hanging out by the what's that store? Manny Mo and Jack. Oh, my brain is so fried. Right there by Casey's Steakhouse. It's kind of closed now, but Pep Boys. Hanging out in the Pep Boys parking lot or over there by Subway asking people for money or at the Arco. There's not a day goes by that I don't see somebody with no shoes and jeans and no shirt begging me for money as I'm going to the Subway or if I'm going to the Arco or if I'm walking up to the Casey's Steakhouse. And I just think I think we're going to look back on this period at some point in our history, whether it's 50 years from now, and say that we just handled it horribly. Because I think it's inhumane to watch these people. You know, we have to have a shoe drive just to put shoes on these people. Our man Roland downtown does a shoe drive annually. Just did one a couple of months ago to put shoes on these people's feet. So isn't it more kind of unsympathetic to allow them to waller like this than to make it criminal? And at least they get a bed and some food in jail. I put forward it's more empathetic to have them locked up than it is walking the streets of Bakersfield. So kudos to the folks out in Shafter. Again, still, after 30 years, the best run community. No offense to Delano, which is another well-run community. I think McFarland is well-run. Isn't it funny that all the well-run communities are out in the North County? But it is what a TI is. Meantime, in Happy Valley, the cocaine college kids are facing felonious charges. Felonious charges? That's not really right, Ralph. Felony charges. This story is just, it's 21st century stuff. Where these kids, all coming from money, Thomas Robinson, and Agostino Abitiello were running a massive, and I do mean massive, cocaine distribution center, basically, out of a pair of frat houses on the campus of Penn State. They were going to Philadelphia and Pennsylvania and scoring a kilo of cocaine every other month. That's 100 grams of coke that they were moving in about 7 or 8 weeks. There's so many levels of issues with this because the first thing that comes to my mind is the consumption. The fact that they could move a kilo because according to the police, their clients were almost exclusively Penn State students, hence doing it on campus. So the first thing that comes to my mind is these kids, these 18 to 22-year-old kids, are snorting up coke like that at Penn State? A kilo every 8 weeks? Cost you about $22,000. I bet they turn it, they cut it, put a little baking powder, baking soda in there, cut it a little bit. About 150, maybe 200 grand for a $22,000 investment. And this idiot Thomas Robinson somehow got his dad involved. Yeah, typical entitled rich kids screaming at daddy, who was the managing general partner of a law firm. Well, he was. Because Pop got involved and, according to the police, hid the vault in which they had coke and tons of dough in. So he's going to jail as well, and his career is over. I wish my father would step in if I was committing a felony. It is an absolute impossibility. I got that discussion early in life. You can call here if you're in jail, and I'd appreciate it just so we know where you are, but don't think we're coming to get you. Don't think we're going to spend any money to bail your ass out. That was made clear to me as a young man. And I wish I would dare to go to my dad and say, I've got Coke and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in this vault. Could you hide it for me, Pop? Could you hide it for me?
You think he offered him a couple thousand just to say, hey, if you hide this for me, you can take a couple off the top, Dad?
He's the managing general partner of a law firm.
Oh, you got to do
Paying for
something.
his kid to go to Penn State. I don't think he was. I think this was all paternal instinct, which I get, I suppose. But really, a felony? I can't imagine my parents getting involved in any way, and then getting the pledgees involved. These kids don't have a brain in their head. You're willing to commit a felony to get into a fraternity? Doesn't that just speak to where we are in the 21st century? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think that could happen in the 20th century. I really don't. I think our morals and our level of tolerating criminal activity has changed along with decorum and everything else. I really do. I think kids at Penn State in the 70s and the 80s would have been like, no, I'm not going to commit a felony to get into the frat. Are you going crazy? They would have looked at each other back in the day, and I could be wrong. But I just think my generation, these kids would have looked at each other and like, dude, this is a kilo. We're not going to go away. We're going to go away. We're looking at minimum 3 to 5 years here as accessories, fellas. Let's get the hell out of here. But not in the 21st century. No. I want that pin. I want those likes. I want to wear the jacket. I want to come hang out in the frat house. I'll commit a felony. Sure. I'm just 19 years old. This is going to follow me for the rest of my life. I'm not going to get into that law firm that I was hoping I'd get into. But sure, why not? All to be a frat boy. Unbelievable. And that the two heads would make that as part of the pledging process. You got to cut this Coke for us and distribute it. And then maybe you'll get in the frat. It's crazy stuff. When we come back, let's take a break. When we come back, you will hear from the top cop in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Dave Sunday, explaining the intricacy of this pretty massive Coke distribution deal out of, what was it, Sigma Chi and I think Delta Epsilon. Very peculiar story. And it's a sad story because those pledgees, unless they roll over, their lives are ruined. And I don't think that's what the feds want. I think they want Abatiello and Robinson, and they don't throw the book at those guys. Did you see the video from this story at all? And see the house that Abatiello is living in?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a freaking Pennsylvania mansion. Greed is a funny thing, Jack. It really, really is. And the idea that you think you can beat the government, wait till you hear how they were handling their transactions. We'll get into that. And again, you'll hear from the DA or the AG of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania when we return. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, streaming live, kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.
Casey.
KERN, Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
Cam Newton, he claims that there were players, coaches, and execs that told people that they got the COVID shot, but they really didn't. And he was defending Aaron Rodgers over his recent statements on ESPN. What Cam Newton is saying is that he has a right to be upset just because he didn't get this COVID shot, because there are those people who didn't get the shot either.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
You know, my prostate situation is popping up. In a couple of weeks, I've got to go see my urologist, see where my PSA is. So I've been behaving really well, eating a lot of chicken and a lot of fish. And that's why I'm headed to F Street tonight for a little protein. Chef Daniel, my good friend Romeo Agbalag, we're meeting tonight. And I think I'm going to do the filet, maybe the New York, or maybe even the ribeye, and then have it for breakfast in the morning. It's the best steakhouse in Kern County. You all know that. But again, I've told you about Chef Daniel and the incredible work that he's done in expanding the menu, including the fish dishes and the Ralph Bailey, that beautiful chicken breast that I had just a couple of nights ago with the creamy mushroom and spinach sauce over the top. All of you, some of you have come in and simply asked for the Ralph Bailey. And don't forget about the Stockyard next door, open Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. And Jimmy and Bobby are performing live Wednesday through Saturday in the main restaurant. Where would you rather be? If you're there tonight, come say hi to an African-American radio talk show host at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey folks, this is Michael Binge, noted barbecue connoisseur, Alsteins Barbecue and Catering. And I'm here with my buddy Jeff, and he's got some exciting news to tell you. You're right, we have very exciting news. We've got the new Salty's Barbecue at 3214 Coffee Road up and running. Just a little over 8 months from the time we broke ground to the time we opened the doors. And man, I tell you, this thing's exciting. We've got indoor dining. The outdoor patio is spacious and nice. We've got misters, we've got coolers. And when it gets a little cool, we've even got heaters for it. And then after all that, we top it off with a drive-through. Michael, what did you think about the building when you came in and got to see it for the first time? You know what? I turned the corner and I saw it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Dining room was so comfortable. We are looking forward to what this new location at 3214 Coffee Road is going to do for our family and for the community. And we're just thankful to be a part of it. So come see us at our new location, 3214 Coffee Road, or at 6801 White Lane. Salty's Barbecue and Catering. You know the line. Say it with me. California grilled, Texas approved. Oh, it's good.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph
busted up. You know how they busted them up. That's why it's so dangerous to do coke, because you just don't know who your clients are, and you don't turn away clients. You know, the smart play obviously is only to sell to people that you know personally, but you can't run a business like that. You can't move a kilo in 6 or 7 weeks by having like 10 clients. Like even entitled white kids don't snort up that much coke. So you got to sell to whoever's out there. And so the feds, they haven't made it clear, has Attorney General Dave Sunday, and I'm in error. I keep saying the feds. This is a state case. I'm in error. This is a state case. The state of Pennsylvania has been handling this case, obviously, since the AG is involved. And he talked about this is a huge deal. This is Attorney General Dave Sunday of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
There was nothing junior or childlike about this type of conduct. This was an upper-level trafficking organization for this region in Pennsylvania. In fact, multiple witnesses who testified in front of the grand jury referred to Abatiello as the largest dealer of cocaine for Penn State University students.
That's big time. That's big time. And it's big time. Like, he's going to go away. It's one thing to be caught with a lot of cocaine, but it's another thing to be labeled a distributor and the kingpin of, what's Penn State's population? About 30,000, 35,000? Hey, Siri, how many students attend Penn State University?
In
Approximately
2021,
86 and a
the
half.
number of students in Pennsylvania State University was 78,323.
Oh.
No, that's not right.
The total population I see is approximately 86,500.
86,000 on the campus?
That's what they're saying. Across all Penn State campuses.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hey, Siri, how many students attend Penn
University
State
Park.
University at Happy Valley?
Here's an answer from collegegazette.com.
Penn State is also a large public university with a total enrollment of about 100,000 students across all 24 of its campuses. Happy Valley is the largest and most selected campus with over 46,000 students and an acceptance rates of 49%. So about 45, 50,000 students. So you've got a significant drug kingpin working there in Abatiello and this Robinson character. And here's the genius of these idiotic morons. They were literally, I'm not making this up, they were literally using Cash App and Snapchat for their transactions. I know you think I'm making that up because you're saying, come on, Ralph. Nobody could possibly be that moronic. No drug dealer leaves a trace. The first rule in drug dealing, because yes, I did a little something in my early 20s with some marijuana. The first rule is nothing but greenbacks, cash, dead presidents, and an occasional founding father in Benjamin for a handy. But no trace, no credit cards, no Snapchat, no Venmo, no Cash App. But this was their main source of transactions on their accounts. They weren't even smart enough to set up dummy accounts. Like, my name is Emerson Jr. No, it was right there, Ralph Bailey. And again, I'm new to Venmo and some of these cash apps where I didn't realize, like, for entertainment, what I do sometimes? I read Venmo. That's how weird I am. And I'm like, wow, Burdick owed somebody $60. I wonder what that was about. He says golf, but that boy don't play no golf. Look, Chris Zucchini gave his son some money. I thought Anthony was doing well. And look at this, Mike Arias. He must have lost some money to Kenny playing poker. He gave him $40. I literally do that out of entertainment. That's how weird I am. That's how weird I am. But I mean, it's written there, right there. And that's how they were doing their dope deals. I mean, it was once said to me, I think it was Donnie Youngblood, the sheriff, that told me this. You got to try to get to prison. You got to be really, really stupid, really, really careless, or you just don't give a damn to end up in prison. And here are Penn State graduates and Penn State kids matriculating at one of the finest colleges in America, and they all go to prison. They all go to prison. 14 people have been charged. I don't think they're going to go after the minnows. I think they'll try to get those kids to testify, the pledgees that were cutting the cocaine and packaging it and selling it. They don't want them. They want a slam dunk on Abatiello and Robinson, the two kingpins. Thomas Robinson, whose father hid his vault to try to save his son, and Abatiello, who you heard Dave Sunday describe as one of the biggest kingpins in that area of the Pennsylvania Commonwealth. It's just nothing short of amazing. And again, I end with the just incredulous idea that there are 19, 20-year-olds who who want to get into a fraternity so badly that they're willing to commit a felony that would put them in federal prison for a very long time. Sad. And what if I'm wrong? What if they want to make an example out of the minnows? They don't need their testimony. And they give them 3 to 5. Your career is over. Your life as you once knew it is over. Every application, every resume, everything you put in, you have to write, I am a felon. And if you don't, you're going to get whacked, and that's against the law as well. All to get into a frat. Unfrickin' believable. Final half hour of the broadcast. Don't go anywhere. It's the Ralph Bailey Show.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A Missouri judge has rejected a bid to let voters decide whether to use new U.S. House districts backed by President Trump. The ruling means the new map can be used in the November elections. The court's decision is likely to be appealed. Opponents had submitted thousands of petition signatures seeking a November referendum on the map passed by the state's Republican-led legislature. The national debt has surpassed a record $40 trillion, highlighting the impact of defense costs, social programs, and interest on the deficit. This milestone comes just 5 months after hitting $39 trillion. Experts say the growing debt is already affecting Americans by raising borrowing costs and lowering wages. On Wall Street, the Dow by 119 points, the S&P advanced 18. More details at srnnews.com.
Current Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Rob Archer. Some Kern County Catholic churches could lose money they raised for local building projects because of the Fresno Diocese bankruptcy. St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Church says more than $9 million set aside for a new building could instead help pay for a settlement involving clergy sexual abuse claims. Church leaders say they were originally told parish money would be protected. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is warning about phone and text scams. Deputies say scammers are pretending to be sheriff's employees and demanding money for fake warrants, missed jury duty, or other court problems. The Sheriff's Office says it will never ask you for payment over the phone or by text. The far right lane of southbound Highway 99 at Ming Avenue will close tomorrow night from 9 until 6 Friday morning for construction work. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I'm John Busby with Team Busby Real Estate.
And I'm Jonathan Busby with Team Busby Real Estate.
We just wanted to talk with you about what we do as a team. We do a great job for our clients. Some of the things that we do is when we represent sellers, we don't just put the transaction together. We do our homework and we check their FICO score, source of funds, where the money's coming from, and the job stability. Because what we don't want is to get you into an escrow and the escrow falls out because we didn't do our homework.
With any sort of real estate need that you have, we can accommodate, whether it's residential, commercial, land, or multi-units. We have experience in all and can help you to a successful close.
The background that we have is I was a lender for 5 years. And so I learned quite a bit as far as how to keep a transaction together. We don't just put it together and hope that it closes escrow. Nothing's 100%, but we do stack it in your favor.
With any needs or questions with real estate, give us a call at 661-410-7355 or visit our website at www.teambusby.com.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. For the Central Valley, that means local service including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise is still the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
Again, the hoodlum kids on the bicycles. You realize that's the whole idea, right? This is a plea for attention. Every time you make a video and then you put it on social media and everybody watches it, those hoodlum kids win. Because that's all they're looking for is the views. And however dangerous and stupid the thing has to be for them to get their clicks, they're going to do it.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM.
And you're like, this is ugly.
Yes.
I was so excited about this shirt.
Not
I
a
thought this
polo
shirt was
anymore.
beautiful. It's a Lacoste.
I know, but I'm not a polo guy anymore.
Oh, I've always been a polo guy.
Yeah.
I was known at Morehouse as a polo guy. I took like I went I was kind of a spoiled brat. I'm not gonna lie. And before I went to Atlanta, I went and bought like 6 polos. I bought the black one, which the gay busboy would later tear up years later. No, I'm not going to go into that story again. You don't have to worry. I bought a black one, a white one, a real teal one. That was my favorite, like a teal blue, like Marlin colors.
Yeah.
I had a peach one. I had like 6 or 7. And I was known, I didn't know this till like my sophomore year, but I was like, oh, you're the kid with the polos. I was like, what? I was like,
What was
Where-
that? Like that's an interesting conversation. I was like, what do you mean I'm a kid with the polos?
yeah. I didn't even know what they meant. Because I think at that point in my life, I didn't know that they were, I couldn't have known this. I think, this is 40 years, y'all. But I think I just knew them as Ralph Lauren's. I didn't even know them as polos. I just knew them as Ralph Lauren's. And I was like, the kid with the polos. Flores, what's he talking about? Mark, not JR. What's he talking about? Like, dude, your shirt. And I'm like, oh. But yeah, isn't this the ugliest shirt in the world? Be honest. Isn't this the ugliest shirt in the world? The collar, the blue, the thing, this. And I like this. In fact, that's the color of the shirt, the polo that I bought. That's the teal. I like that color. And that's what drew me to it. But it's kind of busy and it's just, I don't know.
It doesn't complement well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But I normally only wear it when I'm playing golf, when I don't give a damn what I
That's
look
what I'm saying,
like.
because it's not a bad shirt. Like
No,
you can get away with it in certain situations.
No, golf.
Yeah.
But I wore it today for reasons I do not know. I did some laundry. It was on the top, and I just was like,
Yeah, just leave it for golf now.
yeah.
And if you go to like a fancy brunch,
Yeah. I'd wear a collar shirt to a brunch.
yeah, it'd probably be smarter.
Yeah. 842-537-6842 KERN. Anything on the board?
Yes.
What do you got?
What happened in the classroom with your dad in there?
Oh, it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. They both, Dr. Yao and Dr. Bailey, had a time. They just absolutely tore me apart. 10 minutes into class, Yao goes, what did he say? He said, it is such a pleasure to have you here today, Mr. Bailey. I was like, that's Dr. Bailey. Oh, Dr. Bailey. And I'm not going to do my David Yao impersonation. And what was funny is I ended up loving Dr. Yao, but hated him when I had him in my class. And his wife was the nurse, who was a hottie. But Yao was known as like one of the hardest teachers at Buckley. And 10 minutes into the class, he says, he stops the lecture. He's on the board. This is, swear to God, this is exactly what happened. He's doing this. He's on the board. And he's doing this. And he goes, it's very quiet in here this afternoon. Mr. Bailey, It is a pleasure having you in the class today because by now, on a normal day, Ralph would have done at least 2 Richard Pryor bits by now. And I'm like, no, he is not. No, he is not. And of course, my dad just kind of nodded his head. And then again at the end of class, Mr. Bailey, it was a pleasure having you in here. I have never, in the 3 years that I have had Ralph in my classes, seen him as well behaved as he was today. No, he didn't. So then the discussion, my dad, the first minute I'm home, the first thing out of my dad's pie hole, it's not, good afternoon, Ralph. It was fun being on your campus, Ralph. It was interesting meeting your classmates because I introduced him to a couple of my friends. This is the guy who I'm on the phone with most. This is Ed Scott. No, they knew Ed by that point. But I introduced him to a couple of my teammates because he was our team doctor the year before. This is 10th grade now. So he was the team doctor in my 9th grade year. So you remember Herb, boop, 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 boop. And so it's all right, I'll see you tonight, Pop. And the minute I walked into the house, first he was home, which was rare for my dad to be home at like 5:30, 6 o'clock when I get home from practice. And you know, it's weird. I would pay every single nickel I have to have my dad's car in front of my house and my dad be there. But you know, when you're in 10th grade and you pull up and you're like, damn, he's home. Well, you don't even want your father to be home. And lo and behold, man, second I walk in the door, that man ain't picking on you. That man is not picking on you. You need to pick it up. Because for him to say 10 minutes into the classroom that you would have done 2 bits by now shows that you are the problem. If you don't get this straight, you are not playing football. You do understand that? Yes, sir. I'm serious, Ralph. Don't come knocking on my door when you're not playing football on Saturdays. I'm giving you clear warning. Because if I have to write a summer school check to that school, you will graduate from the Inglewood Unified School District. Are we clear? Crystal, Pop, Crystal. And that used to piss him off. He would think that I was being condescending when I would say it like that. Just say yes and go to your room. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We're about to eat dinner. Well, then go sit down and eat dinner then. But I will never, yes. No, it did not go well. That's an interesting question that I didn't finish the story. No, it did not go well. But you know what? Got a C+ in biology. I sure did. I busted my hump for the remainder of the semester and got a C+ in David Yao's class. What else you got?
There are 1,000 grams in a kilo, not 100, as Ralph mentioned earlier.
Okay. Is that right? I don't know. What do I know about cocaine and the metric system? We abandoned. I remember. You know, I've talked about this. I learned the metric system in chemistry. Can anybody explain to me why I learned at Brentwood High School the metric system in chemistry, and why we're the only country that just basically said, "Nah, screw it." Everybody else, every other nation almost on the planet is still doing the metric system except us. Hey Siri, how many grams are in a kilo?
1,000 grams.
Yeah, you're right. Wow. So I was probably wrong when I said that $22,000 and they could flip it for 150 grand, $150,000. That ain't true. Hey Siri, what's 1,000 times 100? What is that, 10 grand?
The answer is 100,000.
That's 100 grand. Yeah, I was probably right. They're probably turning that kilo into, what do you think? 1 kilo, 1,000 grams. That's 100 grams, but they're going to cut it. They're not just going to sell it pure. They're going to cut it. They're going to put a little baby powder or whatever, baking soda, cut it a little bit, so double. So they're probably making like $250,000 a kilo. They were probably making $250,000 every other month, every 8 weeks. That is a major, major cocaine distribution center.
That's just on the coke. I mean, knowing this type of situation, that probably isn't the only thing they dabbled in.
Hey Siri, what's 250,000 times 6.
The answer is 1
So they made $1.5 million in a school year. That's crazy. That's why I'm saying.
And split that, what, 6 ways, right? Isn't that what they're looking at right now?
Yeah, because the pledgees didn't get any money.
Oh, heck no.
Pledgees, this is what you have to do to get in the frat.
Yeah.
They're probably splitting that 4 ways between Robinson and the other ringleader, Tiello, and maybe a couple of distributors. Give them a little money, keep them quiet.
See, because I remember from the video, I think they put up 6 pictures of individuals they've already arrested.
Probably paying the security guards on campus to look out for them if they were smart. Obviously, they're not that smart, though, if they're using Cash App and Snapchat to do their transactions. That is amazing. That is amazing. I know what we can do. Let's create a trail where anybody could follow our transactions. That's what we'll do.
There'll be a series about this.
Oh, of course. Just like what was it? The Millionaire Boys Club?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
This will be a great movie. They'll use all the young teenage superstars to play the roles at Penn State. Oh, it was a great picture. Great, great film. If I were producing it, where I'd start it right at the end of Joe Paterno's whole mess. That's where I'd start it.
Really?
Yep. I'd start it right there where they're at Joe's house. Remember the night they were at Joe's house?
Yeah.
And they gave a standing ovation in front of his house at his porch. And then we found out that Joe knew more than Joe was letting on. That's where I'd pick it up. And then I'd go through, because Abiento and Robinson graduated years ago.
Yeah.
They graduated like turn of the century, right around that time. So I'd pick them up right while they were like juniors and seniors, because they were either dabbling in coke or selling it back then.
Oh, yeah.
Probably on a much, much lower level, but you don't just pick this up. Not going to Philly and New York, picking up kilos. That's not something that you do overnight. That's something you go from level to small-time dealer to mid-range dealer to now the mid-range dealer hooks me up with the shot caller, and now we're doing a kilo every 8 weeks. 1,000 grams, not 100. My bad. I appreciate the tightening me up. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the night. Come back and read some more text messages. Not much discussion. Now there's a little discussion in the chat room. I'll flip my seat and read what's going on in there. Tomorrow's a Thursday. The Turnip Seed Petrie duo join us. Michael Turnipseed, Executive Director of Current Tax at 4 o'clock. And Mr. Petrie, who was not with us last week at 4:30, talking about the deficit. One of the texters told us that we're at $40 trillion. So I hope Petrie's not listening right now, because tomorrow I'm going to be like, so Daniel, I bet we're at 40 trillion, aren't we? Go ahead, tell him. How'd you know? I am the great Gazoo. Do you know why I said that? You know what I did last night for about a half an hour? I actually sat down as I was letting my phone cool and watched an episode of The Flintstones. Not making that up. It was a classic episode. The one where Betty and Wilma make their upside down flip double cake. And they're going to a contest where they're going to surely win. And they get sick. So Fred and Barney dress up like Wilma and Betty and go to the contest. And as they say in Hollywood, or at Hanna-Barbera, that's where the hijinks begins. Fred Flintstone, one of the greatest fictional characters in the history of this country. Final time out of the night. Keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. In the meantime, you are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1230. We stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
The state of California needs money because of the way we've been spending our Medicare money. They decided that we need to talk to you guys about this. How about if we withhold $867 million from you? Will that get your attention? You know, the Trump administration, and they have greater expectations of you. So if you can't deliver, they ain't going to deliver either.
Weekdays 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And we're back.
Ready? 3. What the hell's that?
WNBA.
Why are they showing that?
Agumike is retiring, I guess.
Is that a big deal? Is she one of the better ones? I've never heard of her.
I believe so.
That's incredible how there are stars, and I don't know, but I know Sophie Cunningham.
Well, like Dewana Bonner, I think, is Greg McCall, the old CSB coach. That's his daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he had another daughter that played in the WNBA too. I don't know if she's still in there, but
Nika Agumike. All right, what am I doing? Here we go. 3, 2. I'm telling you, Lindsay Clancy, the woman accused of killing her 3 children, she's going to be found not guilty by reason of insanity. She went to a suicide hotline, and they told her she didn't qualify because she had no plan of killing herself. And the doctor's testimony that she was, in fact, hearing voices is very moving. Now, again, in cross-examination, they kind of went after the guy saying, why doesn't she hear any voices now? But I think this woman is going to end up in a state hospital. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. Well, it's a Thursday, so current tax executive director Mike Turnipseed joins us at 4, and then our money man from S-Maker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, Daniel Petrie. All of that plus me at 3. It's TRBS, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. I'll see you at 3.
Tools and techniques. They even learn how to listen to customer concerns through role-playing exercises. And you'll see how well all this training works when they show up right on time in fully stocked service trucks with all the parts and equipment to service or repair any garage door. Like I said, your garage door is a very important part of your home, so leave it to the pros at King Door Company. Schedule your appointment today at kingdoor.com. King Door Company, the company with the pride of a lion.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Eight 842-537-6842 KERN. Let's unravel the microphone and travel over to the computer and see what you all are talking about here in the chat room. Get my glasses on, make sure I don't break the microphone. And Greg says, hello, everybody. Kathy says, Cal City is today or tomorrow? Huh? Missed it. I don't know what that means. But Kathy, you can go back on YouTube and watch our Cal City segment again. I don't know what you're talking about, actually. Cheryl writes, hi, Ralph. This is Frank and Cheryl from Bakersfield. Even while being in Morro Bay for the day, we had to tune into you to see what's going on. Well, thank you, Frank and Cheryl. That's outstanding. Boy, I'd love to be in Morro Bay right now. Good googly moogly. Anthony Leary says, stripes going the wrong way. I like it, but it wouldn't work for me. Oh, he's talking about my shirt. No, it's an ugly shirt. believe
Straps
me.
going up and down? Is that what he's trying to say?
I guess you want me to wear a pinstripe shirt? That'll make no sense.
Straps going up and down are worse.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I don't know whether it's the color or, maybe it's the stripes. It's a decent golf shirt, though. One I can get all funky and not worry about. And Josh writes, love the show, Ralph. Thank you, Josh. And Lucy, what's going on, Lucy? I like your Lacoste polo shirt. Oh, thank you, Lucy. That's kind of you. I don't, but I wear it because I did laundry and it somehow got in there and it was on top of the pile when I was getting dressed this afternoon. What do you got on the board in the meantime, Mr. Burdick?
Let's see. Can you imagine the parties that they had at that frat house?
No kidding. No, that is, I thought the same thing. I said, I bet that
Scarface party.
Oh, I bet that was the most poppin'est. I mean, can you imagine those kids rolling out of that frat house at like 6 o'clock in the morning? Damn, I got a 9:30 lab. I bet that place was jumping. I don't know. We had weed distributors at Morehouse, but we didn't really have anybody on campus selling cocaine. I almost got kicked out of Morehouse. I almost got expelled from Morehouse because my residential advisor, who would later find out who had eyes on my girlfriend and was his motivation for lying on me and George Gethers. But we used to put up on the door of our dorm room, we had a thing that read the pub. And on Fridays, my dad gave me a Sears card to buy underwear, socks, and towels. I just remember him handing this to me on the plane as we were flying to Atlanta, and I felt like turning him to saying, don't you know your son? Because we were big Sears shoppers in the 70s, and Sears used to have those big candy displays. You remember that? It was like a candy deli in the middle of Sears where you could buy like quality candy, and they would have those Reese's cups that were gargantuan. And before I found the steakhouse, that's what I spent most of my Sears money on that my dad gave me. Then we found out that they had like a meat department on the backside of the Sears in Atlanta. And I started buying steaks on Fridays, and the other guys would chip in with booze, and we would have these gargantuan parties in our room. And Simon, I don't know what Simon's last name is. I was dating this girl named Sherry Bancoli from Minnesota, which is another great story. It really is. How I never slept with her this year, my freshman year. I was a virgin until I was a sophomore. But I came back to Atlanta in 1988 to cover the Democratic National Convention. And I swear it's a true story. On my father's grave, it's a true story. And I'm walking to my hotel. It was the Thursday night that Jesse Jackson spoke. Dukakis was supposed to speak the next night. And I stopped at a Baskin Robbins on the way to my hotel. And Sherry Bancoli, my freshman girlfriend, who I never slept with, was the manager working there. And I was like, why are you going to college? Spelman College. Why are you working there? Well, I'm just trying to make some money while I'm going to grad school. Okay. Well, what are you doing? I'm staying at the Marriott. Why don't you come see me? And she did. And but a bit. I don't know. I love that story. But where was I going before that? Oh, Morehouse College. And
the frat parties.
Yeah, the frat parties. Yeah, we were not I've always told you the greatest party that we ever gave, we were really kind of just drunks. The greatest party we ever gave was the night that MASH closed, 83, my junior year or my third year in Atlanta. We can't say my junior year because I wasn't a junior. But my third year in Atlanta, we gave a MASH party the night of the last MASH episode. And all you had to have on either something connected to the Army or to doctors. And we got a huge trash can and made essentially Long Island iced teas. We dumped in just 4 different white liquors. We let it simmer with like fruit overnight. And then right before we served it, we threw in a bunch of cheap champagne, Andre Champagne to carbonate it. And to this day, I'm 64 years old. And to this day, I have never been to a party like that MASH party that Danny Gunn and I put on, where the entire party was trashed Not drunk, but knocked down, fallen down drunk. We had about 5 cars in our parking lot where people just refused to drive home, thank you, Jesus. One of the greatest parties ever. But wasn't a whole lot of cocaine distribution in Atlanta University Center. That's going to do it for us. I want to thank Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstein for joining us. Tomorrow, Mike Turnipseed, Daniel Petrie. Hope you'll be with us. Have a wonderful night. And for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I will rap to you tomorrow.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Senator Darlene Graham, sister of the late Senator Lindsey Graham, made a high-profile misstep a week before she faces a runoff election in her bid to hold on to the South Carolina seat to which she was appointed last month.
Darlene Graham is serving as interim senator, but also competing in a special Republican primary to replace her brother. On Tuesday night in Newberry, she said, "National security is not my thing," when asked a question about Taiwan and the South China Sea and how that relates to U.S. national security. Lindsey Graham was known for his foreign policy involvement and multiple trips abroad to shore up U.S. relationships in foreign countries. Her opponent, Congressman Ralph Norman, said that Graham is not experienced enough to serve in the U.S. Senate, something he said is supported by her response at the debate.
Correspondent Meg Kennard reporting. The Stars and Stripes publisher will retire amid differences with the Pentagon.
Longtime Stars and Stripes publisher Max D. Lederer Jr. has announced his retirement, citing differences with the direction of the Pentagon's leadership. As